Ukrainian success in the war against Russia depends on the continual flow of aid from the West, some military and diplomatic experts say. Retired U.S. Army General David Petraeus says if the U.S. Congress approves an additional aid package for Kyiv worth $61 billion and Ukraine receives F-16 fighters and missiles from the West, as well as more HARM anti-radar missiles, Ukrainian aircraft can operate closer to the front. But Petraeus says even all that might not be enough to break through Russia's fortifications in the southeast.
Ukraine still would have to contend with the enormous defensive line that it was established, the so-called Surovikin line, unless it could really establish air superiority. And I'm just not sure that the number of Western aircraft that will be provided will be sufficient to provide real air superiority.
Writing for the Institute for the Study of War, military historian Frederick Kagan says without Western anti-aircraft missiles, Russian attacks on Ukrainian cities, like those on Kyiv and Kharkiv on January 2nd, will become even more effective, and the war could drag on for years. John Herbst, senior director of the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center, says he can't envision a definitive Russian win.
Even in the worst circumstance, Ukraine will not be entirely subdued. Ukrainians conducted guerrilla war against the Soviets for years after World War II. But let's hope it doesn't get to that.
Another potential positive for Ukraine, Russian war fatigue. The British Ministry of Defense says that if Russia's casualties proceed at their current rate, they will exceed 500,000 by 2025. Michael Kaufman, an expert on the Russian military with the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, says Russia needs more troops.
Russia was able to alleviate the deficit of manpower with mobilization, and they can recruit enough men per month to compensate for their losses. But they don't have men to rotate the people they initially mobilized, the 300,000 people they mobilized. So they're actually going to have to either double that somehow in terms of the results, which will be hard, or they're going to have to conduct another partial mobilization one way or another.
And with international aid, Kaufman says Ukraine can adapt to repel Russian attacks.
Ukraine can increasingly offset its requirements via production of drones, of munitions for drones, and other systems that can reduce the load on artillery ammunition. But it would also need Western help to do that, Western financial resources, assistance in scaling up industrial production, and helping to shift more of the war effort to things that Ukraine can itself do.
Citing Biden administration anonymous sources, a December article in the American publication Politico says the U.S. is shifting its goal from supporting a complete Ukrainian victory to maneuvering for position in a peace deal with Russia. But Heather Conley, president of the German Marshall Fund of the United States, says Ukraine could never accept what peace might look like to Russia.
They won't take another Minsk again. They want it all. And, Vladimir Putin talking about Odessa as a Russian city. They want to place a puppet regime in Kyiv and make sure that Ukraine does not exist as a separate country.
But all the experts warn that an unexpected event, like the death of the world leader, a natural disaster, or the outbreak of a new war, might also serve to reverse the situation in Ukraine. For Andriy Borys in Washington, NRI's VOA News.